This week's episode of the Run, Eat, Drink podcast is brought to you by warbyparker.com. Get a free 5-day home try-on at warbyparkertrial.com/red. 5 pairs, 5 days, 100% free.
Welcome to the Run, Eat, Drink podcast. We feature destination races from across the country. And after the race, we take you on a tour of the best local food and beverage to celebrate. So whether you are an elite runner or a back of the packer like us, you'll know the best places to accomplish, explore, and indulge on your next runcation. Hey, welcome to the Run, Eat, Drink podcast. This is episode 88. And I am your host, Aimee.
It's a nice round number. And I'm your co-host, Dana.
Welcome to the show. We hope we're joining you on your long run, on your commute, and we're making it a little bit more enjoyable.
You can tune into us and tune out the pain of pounding the pavement or having to cook dinner or mow the lawn or whatever.
That was a lot of alliteration.
That's probably all I can muster tonight. I'm still dehydrated from my long run over the weekend.
Boy, yeah, you. I went to work and you went out on the street to complete your long run this weekend. Wow.
Yeah, well, I got a late start and I was fortunate. The weather here in Florida is finally starting to, I don't want to say cool off because that's wrong, but it's starting to dehumidify.
Dehumidify.
So it starts, the humidity climbs overnight and gets into the 70s or 80%, and then it drops off throughout the day. So by 8 or 9 in the morning, you're only talking about 46% humidity.
Yeah, but do you think it's going to stay that way, or you just think it's like some kind of front? Or I mean, because I remember still having a really high humidity in terms of long runs last year.
Oh, yeah.
So I think it's a temporary reprieve, or maybe that's just me.
I'll take whatever I can get. I'm not complaining.
It's just tough.
Yeah. So I did my 9-miler over the weekend. I actually jumped on Facebook Live a little bit.
You did.
And it was actually, you know how they say you learn something about yourself in every run, or something you take away. I learned quite a bit, actually. Number one, I learned that I really can't wait to get back to being able to run. The walking is starting to drive me nuts, and I find myself thinking I could run a little bit here. It'd be all right.
You're holding yourself back?
My knee was feeling good. I actually was. The knee was feeling good. I also learned that I can walk and do it without the knee brace. I tried doing it without the knee brace this week. 2 weeks ago, I did my training run. Or no, I'm sorry, last week I did my training
was 7
run.
miles.
7 miles.
Yeah.
Did it with the knee brace, and that thing gave me one heck of a blister.
Yeah, bare skin and then the knee brace is not
a good mix.
Good.
So I decided, I'm going to give it a try and see how it goes. And actually that worked out really well. So that was something that I learned. And then I also learned that intermittent fasting and long runs don't really mix very well.
Please elaborate.
Well,
I know where you're going, but really, people ought to know.
Between mile 4 and mile 5, I started really getting a little bit lightheaded.
So to this point in the run, you had not eaten.
Had not eaten a thing. And let me back up.
Yeah.
We do intermittent fasting, so we'll stop eating at night by really no later than an hour after you get off work. So depending on that time of night, it might be 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock. Just depends on the night. And then we don't eat until the next day, until noon. I think the earliest I'll eat is 11:30, usually noon. And I thought to myself, well, I'll go out, I'll knock this out, and no big deal. Well,
and not eat beforehand or during, and just wait till after, right?
That's what I thought was going to happen. That is not what happened. No. So my 9-miler was in fact broken into 2 runs because I finished the first 5K. I had the dogs with me for that. Aww. And after the 5K, I brought them in so they could plop down on the tile and just relax, cool like off. They do.
A little bit.
And I went back out and I got about 1.5 miles, 1.75 miles done. And it was like a train hit me. I got nauseous, lightheaded, just kind of, felt weird. And I was like, I've got to eat something. So I came back in the house. I had some bread and I made some split pea soup for the week. I nuked some of that and ate that and went back out and was able to finish. But I mean, that really just hit me quickly and hard.
I don't think you were hydrated enough either, it sounds like.
I was actually drinking a lot of water. I
really?
Consciously, because one thing that we like to do, or especially me, is I like to practice like I'm going to play. So even if it's not a very long run, like 6 miles or 8 miles, I'll put on my hydration pack. And that way I have it and I'm practicing manipulating it. I'm practicing taking my drinks from it.
Smart.
Getting anything in and out of the storage compartments on it. That way on race day, I'm familiar with my equipment. Something I take from my day job. We make sure we know where our equipment's located, and you can almost do it by touch. So I had my hydration pack, and I actually on the first 5K, I actually finished most of it, and I use a Camelback Lobo. I think that's 1.5 liter of
I think
liquid,
you're right.
something like that. It's a low profile hydration pack that's really made for cyclists and runners, but it doesn't carry the most water, but it's good enough. It's certainly good enough for a half marathon, especially if the half marathon has on-course support. So I went through most of the hydration pack in that first 5K because it was warm outside, but it wasn't as humid. But once the sun started coming up, I was feeling it. So I kept myself pretty hydrated, but I don't think I was able to keep up because by the end of the 9 miler, I was done.
Yeah, that feeling is an uncomfortable and weird feeling.
And I also don't think that, like, the way that hunger hit me like that, I don't know that I ever really fully recovered from it.
Yeah.
And I think that once you get in that hole, you can't
really hard.
dig yourself out.
It's really hard.
So shame on me for that, but lesson learned, and I certainly won't make that mistake again.
Yeah.
For those of you that can do the intermittent fasting or do long runs on an empty belly, more power to you. I certainly can't do it, and I know that's not something I've really trained for. And even before the knee surgery, we'd always have like our oatmeal in the morning before the run, and I should have done that. So I learned, and I was able to take something away from it, and it gave me an opportunity at least to try out some of the new gear. If you happen to catch the Facebook Live video, which is still up on our page, that was the first time I'd done anything with the new iPhone. We just picked up our new iPhone 11.
So pretty.
So making sure the gear works, making sure all the accounts are logged in. I think that's been the main thing I've been doing all weekend is spending time relogging into all my accounts because I started over with the new phone and just said I'm going to vote all my apps back onto the island instead of voting them off the island. And
sometimes it's nice to have a fresh start.
Yeah, so I got a fresh start on the tech and got a chance to test that out. So that was what I was able to do with my training update here.
Those are some good lessons.
Yeah, and as far as the update on my knee, I am still recovering. I have my first physical therapist has left the country for family stuff, so I'm on to a new PT, and she is kicking my butt. She's had me doing all kinds of crazy stuff.
So you have described
and
this week.
I've been in a constant state of muscle soreness, so I think that's good. But she's confident that I'll be able to do the run in Key West in mid-October. So
that you'll be able to do intervals?
Be able to do intervals. She's actually going to have me doing more intervals this week on the treadmill. And then she says, I want to build you up there, and then we'll get you out to doing intervals on the road.
Fantastic.
So coming soon.
Yay.
To a street near you. What about you?
Well,
we didn't do much running. We didn't do any running together. So what did your training look like this week?
It was a little bit of a hectic work week anyway. My schedule had speed work. Last week was a 13.5 mile long run. And ever since Anchorage, you know, every other week you want to do one around that to kind of maintain the endurance that you built up, or so Jeff says. Jeff Galloway,
America's coach.
Yeah, who is currently across the pond.
I actually got to on my long run. One of the folks in the in the Extra Mile podcast was live streaming his talk at a race shop there in London or in England, and I was able to listen to his talk.
I think they talked about it being in Cardiff. I'm not
so. Yes.
I'm not really familiar, but I saw pictures and I was so excited for them because there's nothing like that. There's absolutely nothing like that. I know I'm supposed to be giving my kind of training update, but just an aside. When we went during the first year of the podcast to see Jeff and to go through his running school in Orlando at the Track Shack.
Yep.
Shout out to the Track Shack. Yeah. It was incredible. Very motivating.
Motivating, informative.
Yeah.
Very well attended. I mean, everybody walked out of there feeling really good about it, whether they were a current Galloway runner or they were just starting their run journey. They were feeling good about it.
So positive, so patient, and so full of tips and tricks, no matter whether somebody is just adopting the run method or is really experienced and I'm going to go to do an ultra and here are my questions, or a multi-race weekend challenge and here are my questions. So it's just fantastic. So I'm glad you caught some of that.
I did, and I know that you were doing something with the intervals because I saw you running as I was heading to work, and you were doing some different interval. Jeff was kicking your butt this week.
Yeah, I had half miles in place of a long run scheduled this past weekend. And then, during the week we do 2 shorter 30 to 45 minute runs. Mm-hmm. But the long run, he had me doing half miles. And when you're not doing your long run and you're doing the half miles, they progressively get, how can I say, it's 1 week you'll do 4 of them and then you'll increase. So they increase.
Yeah, you do from week, you do more half mile
yeah.
runs.
Yeah.
And your goal is to get negative splits during that string of half mile runs. Negative splits, for those of you that may be new to running or not into running, meaning that your time for that prescribed length gets shorter.
Yeah. So and before, when I was starting out with the 4 and the 6 half miles, I was getting really frustrated with myself because I couldn't get those negative splits. And I think that there was something wrong with the run-walk-run ratio that I had going on, and a little bit of an IT band issue that I'm fighting right now. So I'm handling the IT band issue with the BFF massager, which Jeff has up on his website, and they have a whole website. It's a running recovery tool, and that has been really, really great because it works out really tight muscles. And you just picture like a sander or a buffer that's like...
Yeah, for like an auto, like if you're waxing your car.
Yeah, if you're waxing your car.
So it like vibrates and it rotates. And I mean, this thing's powerful.
Yeah.
It shakes the house.
It's awesome.
It is awesome.
I think that they have a travel size that I would love to get my hands on. So maybe... so I'm hoping that's going to help my IT band issues that I'm having here. And so I reported my frustration to Jeff in my e-coaching. We email back and forth every week, and he said, Aimee, you're starting out too fast. You're starting out too fast. So dial it down. And he gave me some ratios to follow. And he said, your mission is do the first one as slow as a warm-up and then progressively get faster. Your goal is to get faster and faster from that beginning point. That beginning point does not have to be so fast. So, and he said the same thing of the cadence drills that I do during the week on Tuesday, Thursday, either Tuesday or Thursday, and the acceleration gliders. And cadence drills, in 30 seconds, you count the number of times your foot strikes the ground on one side. So I count my left foot and the number of times that I strike, and you are supposed to increase those as well.
So a greater number of footfalls in the same amount of time. So you're actually running faster, basically.
So maybe you have 40 on the first one, maybe then 42 on the next, and so on, working your way up to 50.
Gotcha.
Or trying to target that. So, and I was trying to start out just having them fast and faster and faster, and he said, Aimee, dial it in, because your goal is to complete the training sessions, progressively get that negative split, progressively increase the footfalls, practice accelerating through that run interval, and then letting just a natural slow down back into the walk be your guide rather than pushing or forcing. And I'm really focused on that. And I was really focused on that in the half miles.
And
it was successful.
woo!
I had negative splits. So now when I have the long run this weekend to 15 miles, I'm walking that puppy, of course, because it's all about the endurance and going beyond the race distance that we're doing at SouthernMost and going beyond the race distance at Wine and Dine and Jeff's race.
And there are a lot of schools of thought out there. Many running coaches and many running programs don't have you run the race. You don't even get to the complete race distance because you've done the conditioning, and they say you've gotten all the conditioning that you need to do. At that point, you're good to go. Jeff's philosophy is that your wall, that point that you when you hit the wall, so to speak, is the distance of your longest run in the last 3 weeks or 6 weeks? 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
So he likes for you to, within 3 weeks of your race, do a long run that is longer than the distance of your race that you're doing. And it sounds brutal, especially if you're getting into things that are like
a full marathon.
Full marathon or more. But I will tell you that once you've gone to, say, a 15-mile distance, he's absolutely right. We haven't had that.
If we've done the running, yes.
If we've done the running, we haven't hit the wall before the distance of the race.
I feel that, yes. And with a challenge weekend, it can get dicey because then you have to do the back-to-back running days. Like a challenge weekend is like if you are doing maybe a 10K on Saturday and a half marathon on Sunday, like the Wine and Dine 2-course challenge that's coming up in November.
Exactly.
But you have to practice that. You have to have the race rehearsal in that as well.
Yeah. So on those, he actually has you doing 2 back-to-back training runs.
And they progressively through the training season, it'll be here on Friday, you do 1 mile. And then on Saturday, which would simulate the half, you start out at 5 miles. And then 3 weeks from then you up the ante and you tack on a couple miles to each of those and you keep working your way up.
Yeah, and I believe that they've got some of the training plans that he designed at the Run Disney website. And he might even have some of that on jeffgalloway.com.
RunDisney.com. You can look up the training plan for the challenges if you need to simulate that kind of thing because they have lots of different challenges.
But the important takeaway here is that you got your negative splits. High five.
I did.
Ooh.
Yes.
Okay.
I did. So I have to be patient with myself. And I think that everybody gets into a time where they get frustrated and they try to push it when really they should dial it back at first.
Oh, I'm right there. Walking that 9-miler, I was so done. I wanted to be off the road. I just wanted to get it done. That was what was tempting me. Yeah. I think more to run more than anything else. It was just I just want this to be over.
But it pays off in the long run, in the long haul for your race. If you're patient and you dial it back and you take care of yourself.
Yep.
So
absolutely.
There you are.
So we are on track for the southernmost half in Key West as our next named race that we'll be running to train ahead of the Disney Wine and Dine 2-course challenge in November.
Yeah.
So we're on track. That's good. And after all that running,
we eat and drink.
We do. And I got, like I said, I got very hungry, and a little bit of split pea soup and a couple slices of bread wasn't going to cut it.
No. So what I hear when I was at work is that you had Paradise Pizza in Cape Coral.
I did. Now,
here locally.
Now, so that everybody is clear, normally we run together and we eat and drink together, but somebody had to work their day job.
I did.
And somebody was not me this time. So I took it upon myself to take one for the team, to go out and do some field work for the podcast, to gather content so that we would have something to talk about. And there happened to be I don't know if you would call it, it was a scavenger hunt. It was a pub crawl or a brewery crawl. It was a little bit of both.
Yeah.
And it was themed after Marvel's Infinity Gauntlet, and they called it the Infinity Hunt.
And that makes me extremely jealous, I'll have you know. All the pictures you were sending me, I was extremely jealous. I love my day job. I love it. But, I mean, an Infinity Hunt, come on.
Yeah, so the Infinity Hunt was put on by 8 Foot Brewing and in partnership with several other local establishments here. And we're gonna get to the drinking portion in the third segment like we normally do, but I'm just setting the stage for everybody. So I decided to make my first stop at one of the local establishments that was participating, and that is Big Storm Brewing. And as you all know,
we love them.
We love Big Storm. They're a local Florida craft brewery, and they have a tap room here in Cape Coral and a brewery. They actually do brew beers here, and they have a partnership with a local pizzeria here called Paradise Pizza.
Yes.
And Paradise has been around for quite a while, but what's great about them is the partnership is basically if you're at the brewery, you don't have to do anything except call over, place your order, tell them you're at Big Storm, and they package it to go and they run it over to you.
It's awesome.
It is
Food
such
delivery.
a good deal. It's a scaled down menu. Although you can order if you want to just get a pizza and custom make your pizza, they'll bring you anything. But the menu offering there is on the back of the menu there in the tap room. And my inner 8-year-old decided it was going to come out and play for a little bit because this was a Marvel themed pub crawl and scavenger hunt. And I wanted to get some food that was appropriate for that. So I went for, of all things, the chicken fingers.
Chicken fingers from a pizza place.
Chicken fingers from a pizza place.
Yeah.
And I sent you a photo.
You did, and it looked, I mean, I instantly wanted to come have some with you. And what I want to know is...
And you're not a chicken person generally.
Generally, no. Like grilled chicken breast.
You're bored with it.
It's not my jam, but if a chicken finger is done well, I love that. It's the breading that is appealing to me, and that the chicken is tender and juicy, and that it's not tough.
Well, okay.
And also dipping sauces. # dipping sauces.
Well, I kept it very simple. I went with the chicken finger platter or basket that they do. And I was like, all right, let's see what I get. Because I was half expecting, the pre-frozen chicken planks that you get from a lot of places. And then the frozen French fries.
Like little, small.
Flat. Dry is
Mm-hmm.
what I was expecting. But what I ended up getting instead was about a breast and a half worth of what appeared to me to be very plump, very juicy, fresh breaded chicken that they fried. They made in-house and fried.
Oh, my goodness.
3 big, I'm using air quotes here. You can't see it. Air quotes of tenders, which were basically a half of a chicken breast each.
They looked huge.
They were huge. There's a reason for that.
It was white meat?
White meat. I could have split this with you.
Really?
And been fine. With the photo, if you look, I believe it's going to be in the episode artwork.
It will, yes.
It's also in our Instagram feed. The photo shows the French fries. I ended up throwing away half the French fries.
No.
Because I couldn't eat them all.
You didn't tell me that. You didn't tell me that.
And
oh, my God.
I ate everything that was in that picture. The other half of the French fries were in the bag that never saw the light of day because they give you this monstrous serving of French fries.
Oh, this is like a Five Guys situation?
Like a Five Guys situation. I will say where I think they cheat a little bit is I think the fries are some prepackaged frozen fries, but they were cooked very well, very crispy. And I had no complaints because, again, my inner 8-year-old was not there for, I wasn't there for gourmet.
Okay.
I was there for good. And it was good. And the chicken fingers there were better than good. They were great. I would get them again.
Now, what sauce did you get? Do you have a choice?
Nope. Well, I mean, I guess you could probably request it, but they serve it with honey mustard and a little side of coleslaw.
Oh, okay.
Coleslaw appeared to be fresh. It was very good. I destroyed that in about 3 bites. It's a small plastic ramekin that they give you of coleslaw. And, I mean, how could you go wrong with just a classic chicken tenders and honey mustard?
I mean, for you listening now, anyone who has an inner 8-year-old like Dana,
Everybody
who wants
has an inner 8-year-old.
Yes, it's true. Who wants chicken fingers or chicken tenders? Where is your go-to local place?
Every town's got one.
Yeah, we want to know.
And honestly, this might be my new favorite.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. They were huge. I mean, we come from the land of Publix down here in Florida.
Oh, yeah, for
And
grocery stores.
For grocery stores and of world-famous sandwich skill. And one of the most famous sandwiches is the Publix sub, and it's the chicken tender sub. Mm-hmm. And Publix makes their own chicken tenders, big chunks of chicken, breaded, fried, and all that. This was absolutely on par.
Yeah.
With fresh Publix chicken tenders, without a doubt.
I was looking at their menu online, and some of their stuff looks incredible. They have a world famous taco pizza. And I don't know if that's a part of that limited menu, like you said, but it looked like, why is it world famous? I want to know. There are, lettuce and tomato and the ground beef and the mixture of mozzarella and cheddar cheese and all that.
That sounds amazing. And but
like a white pizza like that, not with red sauce, but I want to know about that. And they have calzones and stromboli, and there's the Paradise Deluxe that looks like it has all the meat on it. That looked mouth-watering, like meatballs. Hello.
And calzone and stromboli, two of my favorites also, because, who doesn't want basically a pizza folded over and baked?
Right.
So, I mean, Paradise Pizza, they are a Cape Coral staple. They've been around for quite some time. And the fact that they've gotten on the bandwagon, they're partnering over there with Big Storm, makes Big Storm an even stronger suggestion for people coming to Cape Coral looking for a place to hang out, have delicious beer and good food. Mm-hmm. But, you'd asked, tell us where you go to satisfy your inner 8-year-old. And hey, maybe it's not chicken tenders for you.
Oh, what is your inner 8-year-old's food?
Yeah, what's that go-to food for you that kind of scratches that nostalgia itch of childhood, and where do you go to get it? Let us know.
Yes.
info@runeatdrink.net.
Yeah.
Email us, preferably a sound file. We'd love to get you on the show like we did Rob last week.
Or you could call us and leave us a message that we could play. 941-677-2733.
Call us.
Yeah. Tell us what your inner 8-year-old would love, that comfort food from childhood. We want to know.
Because I think, we talk about some really good food, but, sometimes comfort food doesn't have to be fancy.
No.
In fact, it rarely ever is. And there are just certain things. And, for me, it's chicken tenders like that. So
I don't know.
What about you? For you?
Oh, gosh. It's so funny for me to say this to you. Mashed potatoes.
Oh, yeah.
Mashed potatoes or, just macaroni and cheese, but not the really creamy kind of cheese sauce. It's like you bake it with the breadcrumbs on the top, and it's like a little bit drier, but still you have the cheese pull. Do you know the cheese pull that you see on Food Network?
Absolutely.
Yeah, like that, where you can have maybe 4 or 5 cheeses in there, and it's not, it's like you can just tell it is comfort food. Those are a couple that harken back to just make me feel better after a long run, or just make me feel like I'm a kid again and I'm comforted by the food. Not that I need to, eat to be comforted, but
no, but sometimes you do. Sometimes you just want to have a nice snack. You want to curl up. I know that when you're feeling bad, you'll tell me, go get me mashed potatoes.
Like when I'm sick. Yeah. Mashed potatoes, or like the mashed potato bowls with the gravy and the tenders and the corn and the cheese. And
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Oh, it's so good.
So folks, tell us about your childhood go-tos and where you currently go in your town to get them. We'd love to hear from you about them.
Yeah, that way, if we come to your hometown to complete a race, we will know where to get the comfort food after.
Absolutely. So I was there at Big Storm, and I got myself something to eat. But I was a man on a mission. I was on a mission. This was a pub crawl, brewery crawl. It was all breweries and a tap room. And you had to go to each one, and you had to solve a riddle and locate the infinity stone there. And these infinity stones were relatively small. They were like the actual size of the infinity stones from the movie. They were not big.
It was not like the stones in the Infinity Gauntlet that you wore on this hunt.
No. Well, kind of. I mean, they look bigger than you realize when you actually pull. If you were to just look at those stones outside of the glove, they're not that big. They're maybe a couple of centimeters long each. They're really not much to them.
Yeah.
And they were kind of hard to see.
Okay.
And I was thinking to myself, I bet I have somebody who could help me out with that.
Somebody.
Like Warby Parker.
Yes.
And looking around those breweries and tap rooms for these stones, I was like, maybe I need some glasses. And if I was going to get glasses, I would want some place that's going to let me pick some frames, like say maybe 5 pairs of frames.
Over a 5-day period?
And not charge me anything to try them on and see how they look and how they fit.
Hey, and you don't have any kind of rush over those 5 days. You can have a fashion show for your friends and family.
Make sure that your loved one is happy with how you're going to look wearing those new glasses.
And how you feel in them. In your work clothes, in your I'm going out on the town nightlife kind of clothes. Just I'm going out for a run.
And at glasses starting at only $95 a pair, it's actually reasonable enough for you to pick a few frames and have your prescription glasses for work, for play, and for your athletic pursuits. At a very reasonable price.
Yes, $95, 5 days, 5 pairs. And you can take advantage of this and support the show.
Most importantly,
by going to warbyparkertrial.com/red.
Was that warbyparkertrial.com/red for the Run Eat Drink podcast?
warbyparkertrial.com/red. And I'll even go a step further. If you take advantage of this free trial, send us pictures of the try-on.
We'd be more than happy to tell you how you look in your new awesome Warby Parker glasses.
You will share your opinion. You have no shame.
I have no shame, but I'll tell you what, I can guarantee you it's going to be positive because the frames that they've got on the site are killer.
I know, and there are different styles for everybody.
Again, starting at $95, you really can't beat that. warbyparkertrial.com/red, 5 pairs, 5 days, 100% free. And we thank Warby Parker for their support of the Run Eat Drink podcast.
Yes.
So,
on to the drinking portion of our show.
So I'm looking for these stones. I started at Big Storm Brewing, and I finally found it. And at each place, you would have to answer the riddle, and they had some really creative riddle writing.
It seemed like really complex.
Some of them were. I was like, man.
You're better at riddles than I am.
Well, I didn't do too bad.
Or clues or whatever.
So I would go to each place, and I'd get a little taster of the beer. Wasn't going crazy, and I was also taking my time. So I spaced this out over several hours. I kind of made a day of it because you were stuck at work all day long.
Yeah.
I may as well.
I was having fun. I was having fun at work, but I would have had fun with you also.
Well, I like to think I had more fun because I wasn't at work.
Well, I mean, you.
And I was driving around town, from place to place, stopping in for an hour, having my little taster of beer, and I'm taking photos with an actual replica of Thanos' Infinity Gauntlet, which
you
I
had
have.
Beer, yes.
This thing's a monster.
Fun.
It's huge. It lights up.
It
makes
sounds.
noise. check out our social media feed for this. It's a neat prop. In fact, the guys at Big Storm liked it so much they used it in their social media feed, which was
and you'll
nice.
see it on the episode artwork.
Yeah,
yes.
Shout out to John. Thank you for using that.
Oh, it was great.
So at Big Storm, I started with a taster of the Munich Dunkel.
Yes.
That they have there.
Because, it's almost Oktoberfest.
Well, this is one of the Oktoberfest varietals that they are making. The Munich Dunkel is a lagered beer. It's a German-style Dunkel, sometimes referred to as a Munchner. I can't pronounce this. Dunkel.
We need our friend from Germany to help us.
We do.
Our fellow listener out there. Yeah. Okay.
And it is a very balanced beer. I mean, it's a little bit has a little bit of chocolatey note, a little bit of malty note, a little bit of biscuity, and a little bit of hop. It is just it's a darker brown beer.
Yeah.
This one clocks in at 6.8% ABV, and I believe this is one that they were brewing at Big Storm in Cape Coral as opposed to brewing it up in Tampa, if I'm not mistaken.
Although they might be brewing it in all of the...
I think they're brewing all of the German varietals in all of them.
All the locations?
Getting ready for Oktoberfest.
I don't know. We can ask John.
But the Dunkel was delicious. And this is going to be one that they're going to be pouring for their Oktoberfest celebration on October 19th.
I want to see you with the Oktoberfest Stein, the Big Storm branded Stein. I want to be, well, the question is it going to be full of the Dunkel or is it going to be full of another varietal?
Well, they have two other varietals on tap at Big Storm ahead of Oktoberfest. One is their Oktoberfest, which is their Märzen, and the other is their Oktoberfest Pils. Their German Pils, which is
their North German Pils, so good,
fantastic. Gosh. So we are kind of in the bag for Big Storm.
Yeah.
Again, not a sponsor,
but
Big Storm, call us.
Yeah.
So that was where I started, and it's okay. I cannot recommend that one highly enough. Again, they have a very deep bench of high quality beers.
But then you went to another one of our favorite places.
I did. Although I'm going to skip around a little bit because we have them written out here geographically. But
tell me how you went in your journey, in your hunt.
I purposefully did this because I was being super careful, having small tasters and then giving myself tons of time there. So I had at least an hour at each location before I was heading to the next one. So,
well, that way you could get a picture of the Infinity Gauntlet, or what's Tony Stark's version?
Well, it's Tony Stark's version of the Gauntlet.
So you had them both.
I had them both. Yes, I'm that big of a nerd. I have two replicas. One is the Iron Man version. The other is the Thanos version of the Infinity Gauntlet.
You had to get pictures with the beer and
it's a requirement.
Yes.
So from there, I actually went to a spot that we've been meaning to get to on the podcast.
Yes, I'm so excited. Tell me.
This is a place in town called Scotty's Beer Works. And from what I understand, the owner, Scott, has been a home brewer for quite some time. And
is that right?
A couple of years ago, he decided to venture out and open his own tap room and brewery. And the space is in the north end of Cape Coral in an industrial area. And they have a great tap room in the front. And then the brewery is actually open to the public as well.
Really?
And you can go back there and they have, I believe, it was a foosball table, a air hockey table, some cornhole. And they had a projector going I think they had sports playing on the projector at the time.
Oh, it'd be so cool if they had Endgame or
something like that.
During this event, anyway.
Yeah, so during the event. So I went from Big Storm, I went to Scotty's and had to solve my riddle there. And the riddle led me back to the area in the back where I had to find the second stone. And it was a little tiny stone taped to the corner of one of the bags of malt.
No.
Yeah. And I'm like, man, hard to find, but I figured it out. And while I was there, I had a taster of the Irish Red Ale.
And we are fans of red ales.
I am a fan of Irish Reds, period. And this is a 5.6% ABV, 24 IBU. They describe it as having a reddish brown color, and I could not agree more. The aroma that they describe on their website is caramel toffee with a touch of roast. And I would say yes. Yeah. This is a very traditional Irish red.
Okay.
So
Not really bitter.
Not at all.
At the beginning, at the end,
very very balanced. They describe it as slightly malty with a subtle, soft toffee or caramel sweetness, a grainy, biscuity palate with a touch of roasted dryness in the finish. That is the perfect description of it. It doesn't have any hoppy bitterness. It had, I think, a moderate to heavy carbonation is how I would describe it.
I like a heavy carbonation.
And it was a medium-bodied beer, and that's what they say, medium body and mouthfeel, and it was fantastic.
We got to try. They have a big menu of all the different types of beer that they brew. It's not just singular. You're not just going to find a red ale. You're going to find a lot of variety on their menu as I was looking.
And they do, on Mondays, they do $5 flights.
Yeah, and sometimes they'll have food trucks. They were talking about pizza tonight. I don't know.
And when I went there for the event, they have a side room that was reserved. There was a birthday party that was going to be happening there. So
we need to have a party there.
And it's actually a neat space. I mean, very, very well done, very beautiful. So the
picture you took was awesome.
They did a fantastic job at turning that place into something with some character, and I think that people are starting to learn more about Scotty's. I'm starting to hear more about it out in the community, and they're starting to get the word out, and I think it's paying off.
Yeah.
And for the folks that live in the north end of Cape Coral, this is a fantastic place for them to go and try.
Yeah.
So I couldn't speak more highly of
Scotty's.
my experience there.
Good.
And the beer that they serve.
You have to take me when we're off.
Yeah.
Next time.
Well, I told them, I actually said, we've been meaning to get up here for the show. We need to find a local race, and then we can feature them.
We've got this.
We will be back to Scotty's at a future episode for sure. So from there, that was the second stop. The third stop, I ended up going all the way back downtown to downtown Cape Coral to one of our favorite spots.
Oh, this is it. Okay.
That is when I went over to number 3 Craft Brews.
Love it there.
Of the places in the Infinity Hunt, this is the only one that's not a brewery.
Yeah, a tap room and a package store.
Package store. Number 3, you've heard us mention them before. They are a tap room, so they have a very wide selection of rotating taps.
And it doesn't feel like a package store. I feel like that's almost the wrong. I wish there was another phrase for it, because you come in and it has such a nice little ambiance.
Oh, yeah. They've got a little section, a little area for live music. They've got a couple of video games.
You can play darts.
You play darts. They have, like I said, about probably 16 taps.
Yeah.
There's a huge Star Wars theme running through the place, because the original owners were big Star Wars fans. The current owners, which is a father and 2 sons, are also big science fiction and Star Wars fans.
It's great.
They have incorporated a bunch of classic and collectible toys into the decor there.
Awesome.
And on one side, there are these shelves, and these guys have gone through and curated a bunch of bottles and cans of all kinds of beers from all over the country. Actually, from all over the world. They do have some international offerings there as well.
There's such a wide variety for you to try, and you can try there in the tap room, and they have food trucks.
Yeah, they have food trucks, I think, at least twice a week. The bottles, if you decide to get bottles or cans, they have an ultra-rapid chiller. So you can hand them the bottle or can, give them a few minutes, they put it in the ultra-rapid chiller, and then you're ready to crack it and try it right there.
But they do have some that are cold already as well.
Yes, they have coolers.
So, but if they're not, they can help you out with that. And then you could have great food. Like there's a Mediterranean truck called Hunger Station that we've talked about on the show before.
Hunger Station, Currywurst truck.
Of
course, Beach Brothers
Barbecue. And the Schnitzel Express.
Yes.
Right? Those are ones that you see quite frequently there. And I know there are others, I just can't remember. But it's such a great place, and they know their beer.
Yeah, and
they know their beer.
The guys there know a ton about beer, and if you're getting into craft beer, it can be daunting. because all you know is Budweiser and Mick Ultra.
Like, what do you do?
What do you do? What's your jumping off point? And they've started incorporating some stuff that's for the beginner in craft beer.
Yeah.
And then they have the stuff for the more advanced craft beer aficionado.
And then if you're not a beer fan, they also have incorporated ciders and meads.
Yes.
And the spiked seltzer that seems to be sweeping the breweries and bars.
And I believe that we've even seen some of the hard coffee offerings.
True.
Too. So
yes,
there's a little something for everybody there. We highly recommend checking it out. And even if you're not a drinker, get something non-alcoholic there. Listen to some of the live music.
Yeah.
They have great local artists performing.
or trivia.
Or their trivia night. Again, tons to do. And just
number 3,
a neat bunch of people.
Yeah.
But while I was there, I tried a relatively new offering that that I didn't know existed, and I'm glad that I found. This is called the Innis and Gunn Kindred Spirits Stout.
It sounds cool just from the name.
It is. Well, this is an Irish stout that was aged in whiskey barrels, and I believe that the barrel in particular is Tullamore Dew.
We had that on a whiskey flight at Raglan Road, I think.
I believe so.
Yeah, so good.
And this stout comes in at 6.1% ABV and 40 IBU, so it's a little higher on the bitterness units. And I can just tell you that unlike some barrel-aged beers, this was not overpowered by the barrel.
So it wasn't overly boozy is what you're saying.
Not at all.
Okay.
This was smooth, maybe a mild peatiness kind of in the background.
Like the way that people describe scotch.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, it was very subtle. This was not like a bourbon barrel aged stout that you would get where you get that very strong vanilla or caramel. It wasn't like that at all.
Okay.
It was much more subtle than I expected it to be. And at 6.1%, I mean, this is starting to climb up there in terms of the ABV, but the again, got the small taster, good to go. And I hung out there for a while because they had some live music. Oh. And it was just a really good time. Packed house, very popular.
Such nice people there.
And, shockingly, I was the only person to walk in with a Marvel Infinity Gauntlet on.
Shockingly.
I don't get it. You all weren't dressed for the occasion. Just saying.
I mean, it didn't say it was a costumed Infinity Gauntlet kind of.
I don't need your negativity.
Okay. Well.
So.
I think you channeled your inner 8-year-old in more than one way.
Maybe.
At this local event.
You're just jealous you had to work.
I know.
So from there, I actually went relatively close. And this is another spot in downtown Cape Coral called Big Blue Brewing.
Yeah.
Big Blue Brewing is the sister company of our friends at Wicked Dolphin Distilling. And Big Blue Brewing has their brewery as well as their restaurant. And they have a full-service restaurant attached to the brewery there. And while I was there, I was able to solve the riddle, find the stone, and I checked out their chocolate milk stout, their Milk This Stout. This comes in at 5.7% ABV.
It's a little bit lower than the rest of them you've been talking about that were on your little tour.
Yes.
Yeah.
And 21 IBU. Well,
and
you know,
lower on the bitterness scale, yeah.
Yeah, and I was pounding water a lot also because I was trying to stay rehydrated. And I was not wanting to rehydrate with beer. I mean, the joke is always, oh, get rehydrated. And, but no, I was really drinking a lot of water and taking my time, kind of enjoying the place, getting the photo, and trying to make sure that I got a good read on these beers. They're milk stout. I'm a fan of milk stouts. I love that mouthfeel, that smoothness, and that little bit of sweetness that the lactose gives. So whether it's a left-hand milk stout or others, I tend to default to liking that. So if it's a style that you're good at, chances are I'm going to like it. And they do one. This is almost like a grown-up chocolate milk.
Oh, so
it's not quite as chocolate forward as, say, J-Dub's Bell Cow.
Okay. But still very smooth.
But very smooth. Very, very smooth.
But it was not on nitro.
I don't remember if this one was on nitro or not. I don't think it was.
Okay.
But the body of this was very light. So very easy drinking. I would say, when you're talking 5.7% ABV, again, when you're starting to climb up towards 6, that's when you're like, whoo, slow down. So I got the itty bitty, it was kind of a weird glass they gave it to me. It was like tall and skinny and then fluted at the top.
Oh.
Kind of weird.
Okay.
But whatever. Again, I was just there to solve the riddle.
Would it make a good beer shake?
This would make a good beer shake with the appropriate ice cream.
Okay.
I don't think it's chocolatey enough to trick you into thinking you're having a chocolate shake. So if you were going to do it with chocolate ice cream, you could.
Okay.
Or just enjoy the fact that it's a good milk stout and go with a nice vanilla bean.
Yes. Don't overpower.
Don't overpower.
Because
if you did it with a chocolate ice cream, you're going to lose all the flavor of the beer.
Good to know.
You could do that. So, and then from there, I finished off at 8 Foot Brewing.
Yes, we've been there, and they have some food there, and they keep their rotation smaller.
Yeah, they do a lot of wild fermentation. So that's kind of a different style that's kind of unique to them. And they do very small batches of beer. And it's a tiny place that's got a bar that you can sit at, which is really nice. It's like a concrete bar. And then you have got some high top tables, and then they've got a nice seating area in the back corner. Couches. And I was able to find, this was the hardest one to find.
Was it?
Oh my gosh. I ended up having to do a Google search because one of the part of the clue actually had like the name of a beer, and they had a series of beer bottles in a windowsill, and one of the bottles was like a wine bottle.
Oh.
And the stone was hidden under the wine bottle.
Okay.
Because it had that indentation on the bottom.
Yeah.
I'm like, dang it. I mean, but that one took me forever. But from there, and because they do a lot of that wild fermentation, they tend to gravitate a lot towards farmhouse style ales.
Yeah.
And sours.
Well, this place was started by a home brewer also.
Yes, it was.
Right? That homebrew inspiration.
Yeah, and I want to say that they just hit their 1-year anniversary very recently.
Oh, yeah. Good.
So, and they had a great following there. Pretty nice sized crowd.
And they do have a run club as well that I would be interested in.
They have a run club, and they also do a lot of stuff with the vegan community.
Which is awesome.
They host like a vegan food fest there, which we still need to go check out.
I know.
Because we've talked about it a little bit. We do vegan 6 days a week as part of our weight loss and health journey. And then, on day 7, we eat in the style of drunken frat boy,
all the meat,
pizza, wings,
everything.
beer, steaks, whatever. Yes. But I would love to go check out that vegan food fest.
For sure.
So while I was there, I tend to, I know that I don't want to alienate any of our listeners, but I am not really a big fan of farmhouse ales, and I am not a big fan of sours. It is a rare day that I'm going to say, give me the sour.
Well, that's okay, because I have encountered some sours and some saisons that I have been pleasantly surprised and liked.
Some, but I mean, I'm talking my default. What things?
Yeah, your default is not. It's just like my default is not really an IPA or something that's super bitter.
Although we keep saying that, and we keep talking about IPAs that we like. So
I know.
So while I was there, I said, you know what? Let me find something that I actually wanted to go even lighter on the ABV. And I said, hey, what do you got that's light, crisp, and refreshing? And they said, try our Florida wheat. And this was
we love wheat beers.
Yeah, this was an orange wheat beer that was, I think, 4.7% ABV, if I remember correctly. I took poor notes at this point because I was so frustrated with the with the riddle. I was
trying
to
find the gem.
Oh my gosh,
the stone.
That one was killing me. And that one, I would say, is just a fantastic, light, easy drinking wheat ale with hints of orange. I mean,
would it be akin to like a Blue Moon?
Better than a Blue Moon.
Better than a Blue Moon. Or...
And I know there are plenty of beer snobs out there that are turn their nose up and go, Blue Moon sucks. Hey, look, for a lot of people, that is craft beer. And
well, it's a point of reference.
It's a point of reference.
Because a lot of people have it throughout the country.
And some people, that's as adventurous as they get in there, because they're just, or that's the first entree into craft beer. So we are not ones to judge people for the type of beer that they have or like. No. But I think that that's a good point of reference.
I like to give a frame of reference. Yeah.
So yeah, I would equate it to that.
Okay.
It was very much like that. Not too crazy on the ABV, nice light body, medium to heavy carbonation, light yellow color. I mean, it was just a lot to like about it. I was a fan there, and
I'll have to go try it.
Yeah, that was one that was absolutely I would do a pint of on a hot day, no problem at all.
Did you win?
So you had to have your
Infinity Hunt.
I started doing the hunt at about 3 o'clock. And I finished at about 8 o'clock. So it took me about 5 hours to go to all these places, do my tasters and all that. I submitted my sheet and they posted the results yesterday, and I didn't win a thing, but I got to ride around town wearing my Infinity Gauntlet.
You had fun.
Yeah, checking out these places, trying a place that was new.
Yeah.
And trying some beers that were new. So it was actually a very good event. And I would say that if you have breweries in your area that are doing something similar, get some friends together and go for it. Go do it. But again, something I'm going to recommend. If you're going to do entire pints, you absolutely, especially as you get into the higher ABVs.
Oh, yeah.
If you're going to do entire pints.
I know where you're going.
Uber or Lyft.
Yeah, designated driver.
Designated driver.
So important. Stay safe.
The way that I was maintaining my safety was making sure that I was doing, tasters, if they were pouring it in the whole thing, not drinking the whole thing, and then giving myself plenty of time, an hour there. So, you've got to be careful. You got to be safe. We love craft beer as a hobby. We think there's a lot that it has to offer, but there's absolutely no reason to drive impaired.
Right. Stay safe.
None. Stay safe.
100%.
So that was it for me and the antics that I had while Aimee had to work her day job.
And hey, for anybody who is a local listener or who comes to our area, there are great events happening and supported by our local tap rooms and breweries.
And in Southwest Florida, the craft beer scene is strong and getting stronger.
Yeah. And I'm sure that in your hometowns you have events similar to this or themed that kind of showcase local food and local beverage, and that is just, it's fantastic.
And if you've got something cool in your area, tell us about it. Go to info@runeatdrink.net. Let us know what's going on in your neighborhood. We would love to hear it. Or give us a call at 941-677-2733.
Well, Dana, this week we hit a huge milestone.
We did.
We hit on Facebook, the Run Eat Drink podcast page hit 400 likes.
We cannot thank you guys enough for liking, commenting, and sharing our information that we post on the Facebook page.
And a special shout out to everybody who is part of our closed Facebook group, the Runcation Nation. You can search for it. You can request to be a part of it. And we can all share our race experiences and learn where to explore and indulge once we cross that finish line. It's awesome to have such a great community over on Facebook. So if you haven't checked it out, Run Eat Drink Podcast on Facebook, give us a like. If you're a runner, get into the Runcation Nation so we can all share with each other.
Absolutely.
And thank you.
And have you run a race recently that our listeners should know about, or would you like to be a guest on our show? Let us know. Or give us suggestions for future races. Send us destinations to eat and drink when traveling to your area.
Yes.
Leave us a 1-minute message with your name, where you're from, and what you're interested in sharing at info@runeatdrink.net.
Or leave us a message at 941-677-2733. That's 941-677-2733. And you'll probably hear this information very soon in our outro.
And next Sunday, September 29th, we have a holiday for the Run, Eat, Drink podcast, and that is?
It's very near and dear to my heart. If you follow our social media anywhere on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter, you know we love coffee.
And we have a great chat coming up that centers around coffee to celebrate this occasion. And we recommend that you don't miss next week's show.
Oh, yes.
So we're just going to tease that.
Yes.
So
stay tuned for more. But for now, thanks for tuning in. Have a great week, great races, great training runs, and thanks for joining us. I'm Aimee.
And I'm Dana.
Have a great one.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of the Run, Eat, Drink podcast. We're having a great third year because of your support. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Run, Eat, Drink podcast. And on Twitter, we're at Run, Eat, Drink Pod. You can also give us a call at 941-677-2733 or shoot us an email at info@runeatdrink.net. Visit our website at runeatdrink.net and click on the subscribe link so you don't miss a minute. Accomplish, explore, and indulge right along with us. We'll talk to you next time.